Now, are you one of the hundreds of thousands of people, I wonder, who bank with KBC or Ulster Bank? If so, you'll be interested in this debate. I'm joined by John O'Connell, who's General Secretary of the Financial Services Union. Good morning, John.
Morning, Ken.
Thanks for holding on for us there. Our dyslexia discussion just ran a bit longer, but we needed to profile that. Concern has been raised about the exits of Ulster Bank and KBC Bank. You're saying could be a perfect storm for the remaining banks. Why so?
For the simple reason that there is so many people that are going to have to rebank in between KBC and Ulster Bank. There's over 1 million customers affected, and I think the issue for us is the very narrow time frame that's envisaged to conclude this process. And it's a process. Banking is very important to the economy and very important to individuals, and it's something that requires time to get done so that people, have the option of going and talking to the other banks and deciding which bank they're going to rebank with. Then they have to open an account, and our members are telling us that there's considerable delays in customers being able to access account opening.
Why? Now, if I give the numbers, by the way, 960,000 people are banking with Ulster Bank, 300,000 are banking with KBC. All of these, in the next 6 to 12 months, are going to find alternative places with Bank of Ireland, AIB, Permanent TSB, and so forth. So what's the problem with people just walking into the bank and say, hey, I want to switch my account from Ulster or KBC to your bank?
Staffing. So the staffing aren't in place in order to deal with this. What we're looking for is that there would be dedicated staff in each branch that can deal with the switching of customers and do it in an efficient manner, exactly as you say, that if I walk into the branch that I should be able to be dealt with. The problem is that the branches are operating on a business as usual basis. There's a very lean staffing model in Irish banking. Very lean.
Well, don't I know it? You walk into a bank now and you're being directed to machines. Do your own banking. It's extremely difficult to actually get a one-to-one with a staff member in any bank anymore.
Yeah, and so imagine your situation then when you have some queries in relation to switching and your direct debits and the different utilities that you have. So that's why we're calling for and saying that there should be dedicated staff. This needs to take time. The Governor of the Central Bank is clearly signalling in the Oireachtas committee last week that when he said not everybody is ready by any stretch. Right, so it's the regulator is saying we're not ready for this yet, and yes, we understand that the banks want to proceed, and that's the departing banks, and therefore the receiving banks, which are AIB, Permanent TSB, and Bank of Ireland. And there's others, there's credit unions.
And we know as well that Bank of Ireland and AIB have closed down hundreds of branches around the country over the last couple of years. Bank of Ireland has closed 100 branches, got rid of 1,700 jobs. AIB closed only 15 branches, but is in the process of cutting 1,500 jobs. That's 3,200 less jobs in the banking, less people to deal with customers walking in. But let's deal with the implication. If I have an account in either Ulster Bank or KBC, does that account not automatically, for example, I understand that Bank of Ireland has bought up most of the accounts either from Ulster or KBC, so do I not just get changed automatically anyway?
No, there's one or two things that need to happen. So in terms of if you're closing your account, you first need to go and open a new account, because you don't want to be left unbanked. You don't want to be in a situation where your wages each week comes into your bank account and you close your existing bank account and then go to open a bank account and you find that there's a delay. So you should do it in reverse order. You should open the new bank account first and then approach your existing provider, whether that's Ulster or KBC.
And tell them, I have opened my account in Bank X now, switch my money over.
And there's a regulatory requirement called switching. So the banks have to assist you in terms of switching. So, and that's the central bank is the regulator in that regard. And that's to assist you in terms of switching your accounts over. Once you have a new account set up, Ulster Bank need to assist you in that regard.
Now, I understand there are complications. If I say, for example, I just have money deposited with the bank, the changeover of that could be quite straightforward. But if I have an account with either Ulster or KBC, which has direct debits and other regular withdrawals from it, if I don't deal with those specifically, I could be in trouble.
Yeah, and anyone that looks at social media at the moment sees that the light with people outlining their concerns, frustration at trying to get to talk to a human being, as you described. Some people find it very easy and are, very tech savvy and can do a lot of this online. But you still, if you have an overdraft or you have a credit card and so forth, you still need to go into the bank and set up a new account and get that set up for you. So I wouldn't say it's overly complex, but it is something that requires time.
Just clarify something for me again, if you would, John. If I have 100 quid in Ulster Bank and I do nothing, what happens?
I saw a Q&A from Ulster Bank the other day, and what they said is going to happen is that, that at the end of the period, they'll give you a notice period, and at the end of the notice period, they'll advise you that the account is going to be closed, and they will close the account and send you a check.
All right, you'll get a check for it. Then you have to go looking for a bank anyway. But the real thing is, most people, of course, their accounts have direct debits that come out of them every month to pay the mortgage, to pay the car bill, to pay whatever bill. It could be the phone bill, it could be whatever. And unless people... You have to engage twice, as I understand it. You have to engage with your new bank to ensure that your direct debits will come from your new account. But you also, you have to tell the people to whom those direct debits go to that you have switched bank accounts. Because if you don't, they might find your direct debit has not been paid and they might cut your service, whether it could be electricity or whatever.
Including your salary. You know, the most important thing, you're going to have to tell your employer and say, look, you have a bank detail on my account. You need to change that now because I've changed bank. So yes, there is responsibility on the individual as well. All right,
there's responsibility on the individual, there's responsibility on the banks, but given that banks' strategy nowadays is about dumping jobs and minimising services, and they don't want us walking in the front door, they want us to do everything online, and there will be hundreds of thousands of people in that cohort who don't know how to bank online. You haven't much hope of getting the banks to reverse their strategy, have you?
Well, Clem, that's why we have regulation. Regulation is to set the rules and to insist that things are done in a consumer-centric way. And, we've been calling on the regulator. We've written to the regulator and have engaged with the regulator. We're saying, look, this can be resolved, but it requires time and it requires patience to work with customers to ensure that they're, transferred in a way that doesn't disrupt their lives. And banks have a responsibility in that. But the big responsibility is with the regulator to ensure that customers are looked after. And like I said, if you look at social media at the moment, it's a light with people highlighting concerns.
It's absolutely, and it's coming down the road, folks, and the ostrich attitude of sticking your head wherever won't apply, won't be any good to you. If you have a bank account with Ulster Bank or with KBC, you need to open a new bank account now at a bank of your choice, whether it be AIB, Bank of Ireland, Permanent TSB or whatever, so that you will then be able to tell KBC or Ulster Bank, my new account number is X, I want my money transferred to there. But most importantly, your direct debits, you need to tell then each of your the direct debit, the ones who receive the money, that you have a new bank account now and your money will be coming from that new bank account of a certain date. Engage with everybody in regards to this. You can't ignore it. Meanwhile, the Financial Services Union is calling on the regulator, calling on the banks to prepare now, because they say there's a perfect storm coming down the tracks as soon as KBC and Ulster withdraw. John O'Connell, no doubt we'll talk to you about this, John, closer to the time as when matters ratchet up again, but certainly it's something for everybody, 1.2 million people to be concerned about. Good talking to you, John.
Likewise, Clement, thanks for the time.
Not at all, thank you.